Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a wonderful morning, and I welcome you to our morning session. This morning session is completed with this breakfast, and hopefully you could enjoy yourself, take a breakfast, and listen to our keynote speakers, who will do their best to telling their stories today. Okay, together with my colleague, Professor Wallner, I will co-chair this session and will give you some explanations and the background of our speakers. My name is Detlef Doher, which you can read in the printed program. But I have to clarify something. The University of Applied Sciences is not located in the United States, but is located in Germany. And, well, of course, it isn't that important, but it explains my heavy accent. We will take care about the presentation time, and we will raise maybe the hand if this time is over. And I think we have enough time then after our presentations to use this session part with questions and answers. And I'm very curious to know what the content of this program will be when the sessions are presenting their programs. I ask my colleague Dr. Wallner now for giving information about our first keynote speaker, and I leave this microphone.
Good morning from my side. So it's a great pleasure to give a short introduction to our first speaker. It is Professor Zelinka. He's a professor from the Technical University in Prague. His recent research themes, he's interested in smart cities and villages, which seems to be a very important and very exciting theme. And he has a PhD from the experimental physics at the Czech Republic and a master's degree in cybernetics and computer sciences. So please welcome Dr. Professor Zelinka.
Good morning. Information exchange in dynamically developing ad-hoc networks. What a nice story for scientific presentation. But I have to add one additional word, and this is vehicles networks, which change the topic from very theoretical, nice mathematical level to very technical area. And it's a year ago, I was invited to the European project Sea Roads, Connected Roads, and I was quite surprised with what's happening in this area. It's a lot of money invested in building abilities to have a car's ability to be connected, to communicate in a human-machine interface, machine-to-machine interface, etc., to build a new generation of transportation means. I identified also the issue that technology companies and investors are pushing it in a way to invest into technology, and the main idea of people being better served is a bit lost in it. So I decided to add to my topic additional words, systemic view or systemic view from above on what is happening in this world. And my role in the project now on national level is to try to find what is happening behind me, what is happening, and I see the standardization processes. They are really overlapping one each other, and a mass of activities. I don't say stupid, they are very clever, very nice, but overestimated expectation in a technology expectation. So this is just to introduce smart city. That's a topic which is great fun. In US, they don't understand you because they don't speak about smart city, but about smart planet. So it's a little bit more general, but the issue is the same. And again, and I mentioned it last year, the inhabitant is lost in the technology activities of the companies. If you read it, you can find whatever you can imagine, light, LED light, or digital signature. Is it a part of smart city? No, it's a tool. It's a tool how to make city better. So, I'm engaged as a faculty of transportation scientist. I'm engaged in mobility, smart mobility, and definitely I will try to show that smart mobility can be done in a much better way if the effort is concentrated in the right way. Our main problem is a car driver. A car driver is a very or symbiosis of car and driver is a very specific. I remember times of late 60s when I was first time in England, and a friend of mine spoke about his car as she. And in that time, car was a member of family like dog or cat. And they behave in the car in this way, and they accepted it, but they expected that as a member of the family, the car should have enough of support from infrastructure to be used as much as it is needed. Times is changing. Nowadays, it's not member of the family, but it's a tool you invested in. You spend a lot of money. If you spend 10,000 euros or dollars, it's okay. If you spend 20, still acceptable. If you spend above 100,000, something is strange. That means that it's more about my image. I am the driver of expensive car, etc., than the real need of to be transported. And that's quite important to understand how we should behave to such drivers and coexistence of driver and a car. The problem is that there is no one such driver on the roads, and the issue is that what we know from the roads, and we need to try to improve the situation. We don't ever say we will resolve it. We will never resolve it, but we will hopefully improve it. One of the possible ways is to extend the capacities of the roads. I'm always amazed whenever I come back to Najib's conference that there is some new road or some new crossing or whatever. United States are investing a lot. Europe is not as extensive, and namely in the cities, in the historical cities, you even don't have any chance to do it because the urbanic system is completely occupied and there is no possibility. So the other way is to migrate these people to public transport. But imagine, member of family is in garage, and on the opposite side, I invested 200,000 bucks for my new car, and I should use tram or whatever. That's very hardly acceptable for a group of people, not maybe even a majority, but a remarkable part of the society. The other one seems to be more effective and more acceptable, a combination of driving and park and ride, we call it in Europe. You drive to some destination with a parking lot, and then you use the public transport to get to the center of the city. But again, for some group of people, is difficult. So there is another alternative which is based on that, what we are then streaming to connected cars, and that is to make infrastructure in the critical areas more effective, to be used more effectively. So for that, we will concentrate, we will forget about the others. Even the solution is in a mixture. Solution is not in one solution. Solution always will have to be implemented in a complex way. And just me as an old man, I'm moving from car to train because it looks sometimes that it's much faster than to drive. So one should be realistic, one should be using from time to time the brain as well. So connecting cars from infrastructure, but also connecting cars in a regime car to car can help to improve the situation with the mass on the road. One of the possibilities how to improve the capacity on the roads is to change the density of the cars, to get cars closer one each other and enable such a traffic instead of traffic on the left-hand side. Using a cooperative system, but the theory of a line transport system says that in some level of density of the cars, there is no possible to increase anymore the capacity. It is not about Newton physics, even not about quantum physics, not at all. It's only about driver. Driver is the critical point of all these processes. And we don't have to select only the good ones, but we have to accept all drivers. And even one driver can be in the morning very fresh, very nicely driving, in the afternoon coming back from his job tired, and then driving with the family, the children with a lot of energy, and all these conditions have to be taken in account. So then such a relation is a reality, and it cannot be changed without, let's say, a reduction, reducing the impact of the driver, or even in the best way, eliminating the driver. I can imagine a lot of people which would be very angry with that, what I'm saying. They are very good drivers, they know how to drive, they know what to do on the roads, but there is no way if we want to resolve the issue. So I have a good news for those who like driving. It will not come very soon. We have another 10 years of driving. And just for imagination, Europe is different to US. 80% of European cars do not have automatic transmission. People like to do that, you know. They love it because they have power in their hands and they can do that. And they will ever even not accept the automatic driving and some bloody robot turning with their driving wheel. It's enemy for them. So we are in a quite complicated situation, but if we want to step forward, we have to prepare, and prepare not technically. Technically, I think we are as far as we can even not imagine. Sociologically, we have to work on the legislation level, and this everything will take another, I don't want to say 10, but many years before it is resolved. For instance, the responsibility for accident. When you are a driver, it's clear, you will be judged. In the case where it's the robot, who will judge the robot? And so the responsibility and all of that is another issue which has to be resolved. Automatic driving. there is a lot of activities, very nice pictures. Don't trust them. This is a marketing, and this is even, I will show you how it can be changed very quickly. And in fact, that's the reality. No automation at all, a small assistance, a partial automation, and then there is a car coming, a traffic jam chauffeur. This is what you can buy now. This is not a vision for the future. With a company like VW, for instance, you can buy the system which automatically, when you are in a line, automatically stops, and when the next car starts to drive, it continues. And this everything is already on the market. So something is happening, but this is not enough, and that's just beginning. Because if you open the book of the car, it says it's your assistant, but you are responsible. If there is a mistake of any problem with the system, you were as a driver in the car and you will be judged. So that's everything what has to be taken into account. That we hear a lot about Tesla cars, for instance. We had
even if the car is hacked.
Yeah, officially you are. I remember it happened to me recently. I abandoned the car for a moment because my grandchildren needed something. I have an automatic transmission, just for your understanding, but I didn't set the brake, and car was slowly breaking a fence of the neighbor. And then came the police because I did the damage with the car, or car did the damage. And they were very funny with it, and they said, you were in the car, so we can't judge you. But you are the owner of the car.
Yeah,
so
if in North Korea is hacking your car.
yeah. That's it's a very and it's nothing in the future when the car is connected and hackers are coming in a legal way. And that's the security is one of the biggest issue of the future. Because if we have all cars connected, they are not all people nice. There are some people which are really willing to do something bad. So it can happen, yeah, that's true. And so just for your imagination, this is a drawing of nowadays car, and all these parts are replacing these two eyes and piece of brain. That's it. And you have 2 mirrors, 3 mirrors, and you can do all of that what is seen here. But your efficiency and your reliability is critical, and it must be in the future at least assisted, if not replace assisted. So there, what we are going. So in fact, the future of the solution is in such a complex viewing around, monitoring around, plus communication between cars, communication with information resources, and communication with infrastructure. So all of that must come, and all of that on pedestrian. That's a very important issue, that your car is able to communicate with the pedestrian, or at least to find the appropriate information where the pedestrian is intending to go from the history of the movement of the pedestrian. So all of that is possible to do, and it will help remarkably to change the behaving of the car. Nowadays, it's a very limited situation, and one of the best connection is that what we know from intelligent navigation system. I use it, I love it. I have a Google application, and I drive home from university. I know every stone on the road, but I still switch it on because I can get information. That road is filled, this road is more available, this is the best solution. So it helps me to find the best possible way. But these systems, the Google systems, are based on information from mobile systems. It follows the mobile system. And if you are in a narrow street and you drive in it and it says it's full, but it isn't. It's clear because there was a bus with 50 Japanese in. They had a 50 mobile, so Google understand it as a filled road. So there is still space for future improvement of such information. So information is not very reliable, and information must be proved, information must be developed in a way which is acceptable for the decision. From the point of technologies, in telecommunication there are two different approaches in designing of the system. One of them is based on very principle minimizing of the expectation. Just as less as it's possible to build a system and then maybe to grow. The opposite is that what system engineers like more, to start with a complex approach and even overestimate expectation and then to reduce it. In telecommunication, it was proved that in many cases was very successful, this system with the minimization. And two examples, Wi-Fi, everybody use Wi-Fi, or Ethernet. Both these systems, and they had a partner. Wi-Fi had a WiMAX. Where is the WiMAX? It's gone. But it's not gone fully. It was transformed to LTE, and LTE is a good technology. Ethernet, ATM. ATM was a very precisely defined system with all details, but because of that, it was so expensive that it lost the battle with Ethernet, and Ethernet is now not only in our local networks, but is winning worldwide on networks communicating the whole globally. So there are some people which are saying that if you minimize the system, you can generate genetic performance limits. That's true, but the limits are always to be overcome. So even such a limit, with some exception, for instance, with Wi-Fi, you recognize, and I will mention it, that Wi-Fi has a limit with spectral efficiency. Spectral efficiency can be changed, and it can reach 95%. That means you use only 5% of the bandwidth, and the rest is lost. So if you look at the approach of LTE, they use 95%, and overhead is 5–6%. So it's just opposite situation. So this everything can generate some problems, and we look at it with ITS, and that's one of my work. I'm engaged in it to compare where these two approaches can go and where is the time to change, if it's come. This system, which is known in a very different names in Europe nowadays, is G5, ITS G5, in the US WAVE, DSRC 5.9, IEEE 1609, etc., etc. It's good news for my students. I am saying this is and you should recognize where's the difference, etc., etc. So it's a mess only in names. It's a mess where the different influences are pushing the same technology. This technology has one remarkable advantage. It's not infrastructure dependent. It can be used only on the road without any support of the infrastructure. Yes, but. And the but is in that there is not guaranteed the quality of the service, and there is there is a very limited number of cars. There are very limited number of cars which can be served. I will mention it later. The opposite is this, but we have the solution which we will speak about later. And we are on the road now. We have different types of communication. The basic one is communication car to car, which can be with some limits based on the technology I mentioned. There is a roadside unit communicating between infrastructure and car, and infrastructure and infrastructure. And there can be high-level technologies which can be used to distribute information, etc., etc. So, in case when there is no installed the on-road system, not only for communication, but for management, which is typically named as a pointed coordination functionality. That means there is a point which is able to manage all the units connected to it. You maybe notice that if your computer, your mobile is connected to network, you are connected to access point, to the one central unit which connects all the unit. And by this, in this configuration, the quality of service can be increased if there is a will to do it, of course. Wi-Fi doesn't do it. So, in case we intend to grow with quality of the service, roadside unit is a must. I will go very quickly far, but for imagination in a basic configuration, this is the number of cards which can be connected. It's nothing. And in case of distributed coordination, that means coordination without any authority, it's even not the full, but half of order wars. So this simulation were done on a simplest setting of the system, but you see after you have more than 10 times communication, which is expected, 100 milliseconds is a critical value, you can't serve more than 25 cars, which is nothing. And why it is nothing, of course, something like that can happen. You know, in Europe, we don't expect it, but we can expect something like that. That's what we can easily expect, and is the same density. And with such a technology, we are far from that, but it's possible. On the other hand, LTE is streaming step by step to such possibilities. Everybody of you have heard about so-called fifth generation. It's a marketing yet. It's not a reality. And if we go a little bit deeper in 3GPP, that's a standardization group which is responsible for global development of mobile technologies. They speak that we've just received the release, it's waived on releases. Just recently last year was release number 12. And in the release number 14, there is expected, and in fact the standards are already in the discussion, and basic drawing is available. I read it and I am very happy with that, what's coming. And these standards are also understood as a first appearance of the fifth generation implementation or standard, which first implementation of the ideas of fifth generation. So if there's a distance between two releases, something like 1.5 year, it can happen not sooner than in year 2019, when the fifth generation will have first tangible results in a standard, and then we will need something like 2-3 years for implementation. So this decade will be definitely without fifth generation and will be without the tools which are able to support the traffic needs as we are discussing. So about what's important with LTE is that LTE moved from very traditional concept of base station, they call it E-node B, etc., etc. They moved to very pragmatic communication between cars with or without management of the base station. So it's going down to the application. But it's done in a way which is 20 years younger, so it's much more effective than it is with Wi-Fi. I don't complain on Wi-Fi, but definitely it's a new generation, and this will be able to resolve most of the problems we intend to use. There are some other very important issues, how to manage such a things like addressing and everything of that, because these two words have a very different understanding how it should be done. But we can merge, and we see the possibility of the merging and then building one system which is typically called heterogeneous system. And this system is future, definitely future solution for all the demands we discussed. And issue, and that's a lot of fun for me, looking from above on all of that, then there are two tendencies. One tendency is automotive industry, and the second tendency, the same, but in a very different way, is the 3GPP, that means the Telecommunication Board. I don't know who will win, but I am voting for the 3GPP, because there is much more money behind it, and they are pushing it, and I believe that it will come, and it will come relatively soon, but if I say relatively soon, 5 years, to be ready to, on shelf, to buy it. So it's a long way. So for what is? Where we go? We can improve the parameters of Wi-Fi based system. We can do it. We can invest into the units which are spread all around the country, but some resources say that it costs $4,000 per kilometer square, calculated in US, calculated even in our small, tiny country between Germany and Austria. And it's a lot of money, and there is no synergy with the other application. It must be installed just for this application. If we start to use or start to think about application of the services based on LTE, there is a lot of synergy with the other services, and in a final way, it can be cheaper, it can be better, in a better manner installed, and it can be, if correctly implemented, be the solution for the future. And heterogeneous, definitely we need it, because we have to go forward, even we still do not have the right technology in hands. Okay. Doesn't work. It's not Bill Gates, but yeah, most probably, yeah. Yeah. Yes, it is. It is.
Can you imagine you're driving now?
Yeah. I see it here, but I don't know what to do with it. My goodness. Yeah. But advantage with Bill Gates is that we always win, and the best case is to switch it off and on. That's the best. I didn't do it, but I switched only the other application which appeared for some reason. Yes, I love Bill Gates. Future. Future, just a few words, I know. Future in communication is amazing story, which I will just very shortly describe by two examples, a cooperative avoidance system and platooning. Platooning, that means keeping cards close each other. It requires latency below 10 milliseconds and requires reliability 5 nines. We say 99.999% available, and accuracy measured 30 centimeters. It's a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale, but definitely we don't say it's not possible. It will come, but again, it will last for some period of time, and volumes which are required from one car is in tens of megabit per second. Again, it's a fairy tale. So what we want to say at the end? Yes, smart mobility leads to higher transportation comfort, concentration on the driver being more happy on the roads, that's for sure. Contemporary adopted alternative has its limit, but definitely is a usable to start. And we are starting in Europe with this Sea Road project in millions and millions of euros. And 5G generation is coming, resolving a lot of our requirements, but definitely not that what I mentioned at the end of the presentation. This is a nonsense. But it's a question how to concentrate the information you really need and serve just the minimum what is necessary to resolve the issue. There is a lot of stories I could speak about, but we don't have time for it. But generally, I'm pretty sure that right effort in concentration and of the information will lead to possibility to improve reliability of the transporting system in a way that anti-collision system will become a reality, as well as a platooning. That means more concentrated cars with much higher intensity available on the traffic. And that's it.